here's another thing is, how do you balance enjoyment, saving, spending in different areas of time in your life, like 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s? For me, when I'm considering, okay, I'm 26 years old, I can go out on a Friday night. For example, 2 nights ago, I went out and got a really nice dinner with my friends. And then after that, we went to some bars like over in Las Vegas on the Strip. And I stayed out until probably like 3 a.m.
Right.
And now I'm like, okay, how does that affect my lifespan? Right? Like the amount of money that I spent, like in your 20s, should you be doing these sorts of things that could shorten your lifespan?
Yeah, I was on Peter Attia's podcast and we talked about this. And the purpose of your health is to drive your fulfillment, not the other way around. And so it's not about being in maximized health. Like I don't want to be the healthiest that ever lived, like Brian Johnson, right? Because why? I don't want to be in a lab like a boy in a bubble, right? In the most shape, right? Not having a fulfillment. So that's an extreme example, right, of me saying that your health is a tool for you to be fulfilled. Your wealth is a tool for you to be filled. Your time is your tool for you to have a fulfilling life. And so for you, that time with your friends that you can't get back, if that was fulfilling you, yes, you'll die a minute earlier. Who cares? It's not about living the longest life. It's about having the most fulfilling life. And if you accept that, right, that axiom, then yes, there's times you should do things that are unhealthy.
What about for the audience watching? They're in their 20s. Let's just start there. What are the experiences that you found to maximize your 20s?
I mean, every single story I tell, aside from like personal feats that I needed to overcome, involved other friends, involved things, right? Like we scrounged up the people and we went on a trip here and hilarity ensues and learnings and fun and sometimes fights and disasters and whatever. But like now it's like, oh my God, remember that time, right? So I would do so much more of that I didn't do in my 20s, right? And, you think your core friend group, who you're still going to love throughout the rest of your life, you get to spend all this time with them. You don't. They pair off. They have kids. They have other priorities. They chase jobs. They have other dreams, etc. And so I would create more moments, activities, and excuses to spend time with them. I actually say that most of the things I do or the activities we have, it's just an excuse to hang out with our friends and do comedy show, a trip, boat ride. Yeah, like wake surfing, whatever, but I don't do it alone. Yeah, I like movies, but I don't watch them alone. Yeah, I like clubs, but I don't do them alone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would look for more activities to do that.
And what about in your 30s?
I mean,
one
it depends.
thing in your book that really hit is that there are times in your life to enjoy certain activities. And there's no sense wasting time, let's just say hypothetically, in your 20s going on a train when your 20s could be spent hiking up a mountain that you can't do in your 60s.
Right. I think there's a balance. I don't think it's zero of that, right? Like, but what you want to do is like if you're forced into a decision, right, point between a more athletic and physically demanding activity versus a more sedentary type activity, you want to shift those more athletic activities to your 20s and 30s and early 40s, and the more sedentary activities to later in life, right? If you're trying to get the high score. Right? Because just think about it as a video game, like, and we got fulfillment points for activities and we laid them out there, right? If you have your character, right, and this character has this decay curve, right? If you have your character try and do all the physical activities later in life, like, you know what I mean? Then you're not going to get to do them all and you're not going to get the high score, right? Like you'd reverse them, right? And you'd be able to do them all and you get the high score, right? And so life is like Tetris, you kind of got to get the order right. It's the same thing with activities in your life, right? Like if you delay hiking Kilimanjaro to your 80s and heliskiing and all, and, walking all these cities, right? Like until you're later in life, you're probably not going to get the high score, right? There's a kind of that meme that floats around about the couples sleep in the gondola. Have you ever seen that one?
No, I haven't.
Look it up on the internet. There's like this older couple asleep and it's like, reasons why you should travel when you're young.
One thing that's a little bit harder of a conversation is if you're younger, let's say in your 20s, maybe early 30s, something like that, or even late teens, and you're working a job and maybe you can save, $500, $1,000 if you're lucky at the end of every month. Like most people out there, like it's hard to have a big financial cushion. Maybe even it's just like a couple $100.
Right.
How do you justify then spending that money on experiences and activities rather than putting that in something like a Roth IRA or cutting out on certain experiences and activities to then be able to at least have some sort of like minimum financial standard? How do you draw the line on
Well,
that?
I think in each individual person, they're going to have a certain financial trajectory. Are they going to be making more money in the future or less? Or are they going to be making the same? For those who are going to make more money in the future, it's a no-brainer. The experiences you can have a higher return on fulfillment than the 8%, 10% return you're getting in a Roth IRA. And on top of that, you are taking from your poor self and giving it to your future rich self. So it's just completely backwards, right? For those who are going to have steady or declining income, then, we are bumping up against survival and we need to save money for survival. So it's really a question of where are we on the survival curve, and is our income going to be growing outside of savings, right?
So you just have to consider your job. Is it scalable? Do you think that your income is going to be going up over time? You have to have an honest conversation with yourself if
Correct.
you think that you have the skills and wherewithal to be able to make more money when you're older.
Correct. And I don't get into like the making money and earning money, but there's side hustles. There's all kinds of ways. Like one thing I realized, like for those who are like have average intelligence and lots of hustle, there's so many ways to make money.
Do you think that applies to the average person? Because I realize where we're sitting right now. And for those that aren't aware, this is Caleb Hammer's studio. And all the time he has people on this side of the desk that have blown thousands of dollars on trips or experiences. And they're going into credit card debt because they spent all of their money and then their car broke down.
We're not saying be foolish, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
so where do you draw the line? Between,
you want to consider these things, right? Like, there is a line, right? Like I've been on both sides, right? I've been on the super frugal, and I've been like, I have no money. Like I literally have no money and I have credit card debt, and I make an obscene amount of money, right? For my age at the time. But what we want to do is thinking like, what are the fulfilling things I can do within my budget, and what does my future income look like, right? And for each person, that's going to be different. Am I eventually going to hit a home run type of guy, or am I a guy that's like, I'm going to have a safe job and this is it, and this is my income, and what I save is going to have to sustain me for the rest of my life, right? And there are all kinds of different people with different type of risk appetites, with different types of opportunity sets.
It made me think back to something I haven't thought about in probably 15 years or so. I was 11-ish around this time. And I remember
so envious.
I went to
11-ish.
I went to Chase Bank,
right,
or Washington Mutual, whatever it was back at the time, a long time ago. And I deposited, I think it was like 50 or so bucks,
right,
because it was like my birthday money or something.
Right.
And then I looked at the amount of money I had on my savings account, and my brother went with me. I mean, it was Christmas because we both went together. And my balance was like $400. I was lucky. Like my parents, I'd get some money and stuff for my birthday and Christmas. So I had like $400 by like 11 or something like that. And then my brother had 700, and he's 2.5 years older than me. And I was like, wow, like if I save my birthday and my Christmas money, in 2.5 years, I'll have $700.
Right.
But I also remember like there were games that I wanted. Pokemon had came out, and like I wanted to buy Pokemon, but it was like $50. And like all my friends had it, and I became very frugal because I saw my brother was very frugal, and he was able to save $300. And now I think like, wow, like $300, like obviously that's a sizable chunk of change. You could still do some really cool things with that, but like the amount that it means to me now versus the amount that it meant to me when I was 11 or 12 is just like incomparable.
Right.
Yeah. And now I try to apply that between now and, wherever my future is at, while obviously remaining, I would say conscious and accurate, hopefully. But yeah, it's completely.
I don't know what the right answer is for you, but if you are thinking about it and you're modeling it out, you are closer to an optimal life than just autopiloting it, right? Like you were taught a very good skill and something to have in your toolkit, which is saving at a young age. But you remember at the expense of a fulfilling childhood, like buying a bike would be much better for you than that $400. Like, because you can't remember $400, right? If you had a bike, you would remember all those times biking around with your friends and all the memories you have. And that's what you'd be talking about instead of this, like, I had $400 saved in a bank, useless story that you have right now, right? The skill is useful, but the fulfillment and the memory dividends are completely missing at that age, right? And so what you don't want to have happen is that it happen now. And but at the same time, being mindful of like, I don't want to be busted. Right.
The trick is to be mindful, but it's hard because, like you said, it's developing the skill of saving or like developing the anti-skill of just spending all of your money and getting stuck on this like hedonistic pursuit of life.
Yeah, the skill is living. The skill we want is living. We want to thrive, right? And what thrive means to each individual person is different, right? So I don't give a shit about saving. I don't give a shit about spending. I care about fulfillment and thriving. Those are just tools for the big F, the big fulfillment, right? My health, my wealth, my time, all my decisions, right? It's all for my fulfillment. And then the hardest question, which I don't write about in the book, is, well, what is fulfilling? I'm like, I don't know. That's up to you, right? Like, there's tons of books on like how to live a fulfilling life, and you can believe one or whatever according to your values, your religion, whatever belief system you have. Like, you kind of have an idea what your fulfillment is, but like, you need to get off autopilot and think about that, what that means in each period of your life. But saving, spending, I don't give a shit. Fulfillment.